Kitco Mining special coverage of the Mines and Money Miami is brought to you by Snowline Gold.
TinOne Resources is focused on its namesake metal in Tasmania. The company also had a lithium discovery. And with the CEO, Chris Donaldson. Chris, welcome to Kitco.
Hey, Michael, thanks for having me.
Bring us up to date. What is TinOne Resources focused on?
Yeah, it's a small junior mining company on the TSXV under TORC. And we've got 4 assets in Tasmania, Australia. Been a busy year for us. We just completed a drill program and had a nice little discovery that we announced just a couple of weeks ago.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so we've been focused on our Great Pyramid project, which had a historical resource on it. We did about a 5,000 meter drill program, and we're reconfirming the historical resource, also testing at depth and laterally, and managed to get good grade intercepts everywhere. And so we're in the process right now of updating that resource. And while that was going on, we were prepping our second project, which is Aberfoyle, about 20 minutes or so up the road. And that's a historical tin and tungsten producing district. But when it shuttered in the 80s, they had been basically just chasing these high grade veins. So we were trying to do some modern exploration on it, sampling program and some mapping. Went back and did some multi-element testing on some grab samples that we had and found some lithium. So obviously lithium is fairly frothy right now. It wasn't our focus, but a very nice surprise. So we're following it up right now with an extensive targeted program, looking at the lithium micas that we have. And it turns out we actually control the largest amount of lithium micas in Tasmania. So fairly exciting for us.
You make this point a couple of times in your corporate presentation, and that's talking about the way that these mines and these exploration programs were logged and looked at in the past, historically, and then looking at them now with modern geological tools and modern geological measurements.
Yeah, it just doing more mapping and soil sampling beforehand to establish targets, and it just gives you better bang for your buck when you do finally start drilling, and so that's been a real emphasis on it for us, I should say, and really it helps keep down the costs, and when you do start drilling, gives you a better opportunity to find what you're looking for.
What's it like working in Tasmania?
Yeah, it's been really pleasantly surprising. First of all, it's a beautiful place. We're in an area that historically was a tin producing district or was used for forestry, and all of the properties actually are still zoned for future commercial production. So that's a real bonus. But in terms of permitting, it's been excellent. It took us 1 day to get our drill permit, which is different from my experience elsewhere. And also they have a very big geology program there, Codes University, so a lot of geologists running around for a small little island.
Australia too. It's got a critical metal strategy, correct?
It does, and mining is their number one driver in Australia. So people are very familiar with mining.
Tell us about tin itself. Maybe talk about what it's used for and why it's coming to the fore.
Tin is an interesting market, not one that is widely followed. There's not a lot of actual tin explorer developers out there. I think we were the 10th company to join the International Tin Association as an explorer developer. It's got a long history and it became exciting last year when it hit an all-time high of $51,000 a ton, off from about $15,000 a ton. That was March of last year. November this year, it collapsed from 51 down to 17, and now it's almost doubled in the last 3-4 months. So it's fairly volatile. It's a small market, so certain geopolitical factors or mines shutting down really affect the price, and it swings quite a bit. But the main use is fairly constant, and that's in soldering. So anything with electrical or batteries, it's the glue that holds it all together. And that demand is supposed to increase like most electric metals.
Now, the demand is traditionally out of Myanmar, is that correct? Or sorry, supply rather.
Supply, yeah, and that's where it's interesting. Our project in a Western jurisdiction is fairly rare. 80% of the supply comes from Myanmar, DRC, China, Indonesia. And so there's a scramble now. You're seeing restarts of mines in Europe now, and of course ours down in Australia.
I should ask also about in Tasmania community relations, the people that you're around there.
Yeah, so we're in an area that there are not a lot of people around. Like I said, it's a forestry area, so there's one little community close to us, but that was actually an old tin mining town of about 100 homes. So it's very good in terms of community.
I want to take a detour for a minute, Chris, but I'm going to take advantage because I met you years ago when you were with Great Western and Western Copper and Gold.
It's a great company.
I'm glad that I had you here. You could correct me on that, but you were certainly an old Yukon hand, and I just kind of want to get your thoughts on what's been happening up that space. We've seen it's not in the Yukon, but it's close. We see Newmont and Newcrest that are kind of really pulling together things around the Golden Triangle right now. There is we're seeing some deal making by Victoria Gold. Thoughts on what's been happening up there?
Yeah, I spent 10 years in the Yukon and absolutely loved it. Community relations being one of the key aspects. But yeah, there's some exciting times. You go Snowline, who's had some good discoveries. Western Copper and Gold with their investment from Rio. So there's interest in jurisdictions that are stable and have a plethora of mineral resources. So and finally they're starting to see that attraction of investment.
Lastly, milestones ahead with the company.
Yeah, so we're going to move to update our resource on Great Pyramid in the next month, and with Aberfoyle, we're doing a very targeted sampling program now to see if we can replicate these lithium samples across scale. It's a 100 square kilometer property. Our other property is about 36 square kilometers as well. So we've got geologists on the ground right now, and we'll get those assays back probably in the next 3-4 weeks, and we'll see what we have.
Chris, always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Michael McRae here at Mines and Money Miami.
Kitco Mining special coverage of the Mines and Money Miami is brought to you by Snowline Gold.